Hi, thanks for joining us. We hope that you've been enjoying BrewEd Find Your Voice. My name is Holly Barradell. I am an extended member of senior leadership where I take responsibility for the early career teachers at the All Ability Academy that I teach at in Tunbridge Wells in Kent. My specialist subject is drama, and I've been teaching for just over 10 years, and I'm joined today with Mair.
Hi, my name's Mair, and I've been teaching 16 years, predominantly in secondary. I'm also a drama specialist, so I'm drama and English, and I'm now at Manchester Metropolitan University completing a Masters in Educational Leadership.
So we've decided today that we're going to talk to you about what can you do when self-doubt sets in. So Mair, if I can hand over to you to start, please.
Yeah, so when we started researching this, there's actually different forms of self-doubt. So we have self-doubt that might creep in on a daily basis, but we also have perhaps more extreme associations with self-doubt, known more commonly as the imposter syndrome. And the imposter syndrome was first described by Dr. Pauline Clance in 1985. And initially, Clance believed that imposter syndrome was only something that affected women, particularly professional women. But as time went on and more research has since followed, she, of course, recognised that this can happen to anybody. And it can cause destructive behaviours, it can cause stress, and it can actually prohibit you from moving forward in your career, but also can affect you in your home life as well. But today we're focusing more on the self-doubt, the elements that happen every day for teachers all over the country. And it's really difficult to know what is nerves, what's just being humble, how do you stop yourself feeling like you're being arrogant, and what's the difference between arrogance and confidence. And but this, as this triangle is, this diagram clearly illustrates, they're all really intertwined, and it is completely normal to question yourself and to have moments of self-doubt. Today we're talking about what that might look like in an educational setting, and what tips or tactics can we utilize in order to help us in the following academic year.
We ran a Twitter poll where we asked which situation do you think teachers most commonly find themselves in when self-doubt sets in? We gave 4 options, and there was nearly 300 votes in less than just over 24 hours. And astonishingly, 60% of them all said that they found that their self-doubt sets in most when they're presenting to whole staff. Which is quite a bizarre concept when you think about what is the bread and butter of our job, as we stand up every day and we present. But yet when we have to present to our peers or to our colleagues, that self-doubt sets in, which is bizarre. But we do have to think about what's the difference between having nerves, which is a very natural part of normal feelings, and when those nerves start to become self-doubt, and when that self-doubt really manifests itself and then becomes imposter syndrome. And I think it's really important that, although we're talking about from an education perspective, is to think about how this happens across all professions, all people, all ages. It doesn't preclude. So what can self-doubt look like? So the lady in front of you here is Jo Pavey. She's a 5-time Olympian. She ranks 2nd behind Paula Radcliffe, and just a month short of her 41st birthday, she ran her way into the record books at the European Athletics Championship, and she became the oldest ever female gold winner in the history of the continental event. That's no mean feat, and even more so, she did that. She was not old, but she's old for a professional sportswoman. Plus the fact that she was doing this just months after giving birth. But nevertheless, I'm currently reading her autobiography, This Mum Runs, and she says that, which is on screen, that she'd seen famous athletes chatting to each other. Everyone's friendly, but she was feeling self-conscious. She was feeling that she was a bit of a fraud again, a little voice in her head saying, what are you doing here? So we look to her. I'm reading her autobiography and I'm looking at her as a role model. I'm thinking, this is phenomenal, what an achievement. This woman can possibly not have any form of self-doubt when she has got to this level of her career, but actually clearly she does, and everyone does. And I think it is just a normal part of life. When we are teaching and we stand in front of the young people that we're educating, or educating of any age, they don't imagine we have any self-doubt. They look up to us, they're listening to what we're saying, hopefully, and absorbing that information. And the same really should be happening when you're stood in front of your colleagues and you're sharing that sort of information as well. You know, we do have pressure on ourselves being female often. What we do when we step back from our professional lives and we are mothers, we're carers, whatever other roles that we take on, and then what society assumes of us, that can start to build into that assumption, can build to that sort of self-doubt. And you know, what can we do to kind of address those issues that society forces onto us?
Yeah, and I think important in that, in what you've just said, Holly, is recognising it, how it might manifest in different people. So Jo Pavey recognising that little voice that talks to her and undermines her achievements, whereas some other people, me included, self-doubt might manifest in a more analytical way, questioning everything. Are you going to do this? Are you going to, how's that going to work? Why? And then another type that's widely recognised is the overcompensating, or feeling the need to become an expert in that particular topic or area. And these are just 3 examples of ways that different self-doubt can manifest. So we're thinking about how we can take that forward for us in an educational setting.
Both Mair and I listened to the Ella Mills podcast, which is about imposter syndrome and self-doubt. And she had on her podcast, her guest was Dr. Hibbard. And Dr. Hibbard came along with 5 top tips. And obviously, as you know, she is a psychologist. We are not psychologists. We're just here today to sort of present to you all the various information that we've found and to turn that into, you know, an education perspective. But Mair, if you could just touch on what those 5 facts were, because I think that's really helpful for people to hear.
Yeah, it's a really inspirational podcast, and we've put the link at the end of this presentation if you'd like to listen to it. So Dr. Hibbard talks about thoughts aren't facts. So it's really important to externalize the voice and look at the evidence. 2, to emphasize that you're not alone. This is a normal experience, a normal feeling, and it's linked to so many other parts of our lives. And when we acknowledge and talk to others, it allows us to move forward. 3, what you do every day makes the biggest difference, and happiness is 40% of our daily activities, and how we feel is a product of those daily choices. So making that little change each day can have a huge impact. 4, don't expect to be happy every day. We have the whole range of emotions, and that is normal to experience them. We don't wake up and feel exactly the same every single day. 5, the final one, is her tip is life is an adventure, not a race. So rather than being completely goal orientated, only focusing on that goal, thinking about and enjoying the different roller coaster and feelings and emotions and experiences that happen every day, rather than only thinking about when I become head of department, or that next goal or that next achievement, and actually thinking about and embracing what's happening now. Really important when we're trying to be good role models for the young people that we teach, particularly with everything that's happened with GCSE and A levels, and trying to show people that we are more than just a goal. We are more to, like the young people, we're saying you're more than just your GCSE grade or just your A-level grade. It kind of embrace everything you've learned through your course, the employment skills, your life skills, your knowledge, your expertise, and we need to represent that as well and be those good role models.
So although those tips were given to us at the end of that podcast, that it was just about general life, it wasn't necessarily about education specific. You can relate quite a lot of those in an education setting, as you just did with the whole life as an adventure, not a race top tip. So just to kind of to finish off and conclude with our presentation today, we're going to talk about our own personal resolutions for the new academic year in light of kind of what we've researched and what we've found out. Mair, would you like to go first?
Yeah, so I think it's been a silver lining of lockdown has been all this wonderful CPD, and I've been very lucky that it's enabled me, having young children at home, been able to me to access some CPD that perhaps I would never have been able to access, wouldn't been able to have the childcare, caring responsibilities, etc. And that's been really wonderful. But also it's still trying to get the balance, that work-life balance. It's so easy to tip it the other way. And for me, as we were talking about the different types of self-doubt, the different types of imposter syndrome earlier, for me, it's that analytical self-doubt actually can turn into procrastination for me. And I can put something off because I want to do a good job of it, at it, and it means that I don't tackle it. I put it off until I build the confidence to go for it. So my resolution for the new academic year is to really make sure that I've got a better work-life balance that enables me to tackle tasks head on rather than putting them off until I can build the confidence to address them. What about you, Holly?
So for me, it's going to be around remembering that I don't have to say yes to everything. And I think as I've got older, I have got better at that. Initially, I had this obsession with, I must say yes to everything. I can't turn things down. I don't want people to perceive me as being lazy or not engaged and not, really passionate and want to do the best I possibly can in my job. And then because of that obsession of having to say yes to everything, my workload became unwieldy. And I do get to a point sometimes where you look at work-life balance and I think, oh, I could possibly burn out here. And part of the reason why is because not only do I say yes to everything, but I have very high personal expectations of the work that I'll produce, and my standards are sometimes ridiculous. So as a consequence of that, because I have this obsession with almost needing to be the expert in everything, so I've got to try and remember that not everyone is an expert at everything all the time, and I can say no to things, and then the things that I do say yes to, I can enjoy wanting to be the expert by researching and learning and engrossing myself in those things, but without going to the extreme of burning myself out because I've just got too much on my to-do list.
Yeah, definitely. So have a think. Hopefully there's been some bits there that are helpful for you and you're able to take away some tips and have a think what your new resolution is for the academic year coming forward. Thank you very much for listening to our presentation.
And we've got some links to some reading and some references that you can go away and that we've mentioned during our talk, and hopefully you'll find those helpful as well. Thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you. It disappears at the end there, the stop button. There we go.